Metal Raiders is a favorite set of mine. Not only did it include some anime fan favorites like Black Skull Dragon and Gate Guardian, it included many meta-defining staples. So let's look at the top 10 cards of Metal Raiders. Not just critter format, rather the set's impact as a whole to Yu-Gi-Oh! Number 10 is Catapult Turtle. This guy is a bit of a weak card, all things considered. 5 stars with minimal stats even by 2002 standards. But his effect is that you can tribute a monster to inflict half of its attack to your opponent's life points. While it may not see play more than a couple decks in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, the few times it has shown up has been in FTK decks. Its first showcase was late 2003 Scientist FTK, where you use magical scientists to summon a variety of the strongest fusion monsters it could muster and launch them with Turtle until you win. Yeah, take that, flotation ring. Turtle would show up again in 2020 as part of a Clock Dragon FTK, in which by this point Turtle had already received an errata in 2014, making its effect once per turn. Needless to say, despite Catapult Turtle not being a prominent card by usage standards, the rare times it does poke its head from the water has been nothing short of deadly. Number 9 is Summoned Skull. The level 6 monster for a long time was the strongest one tribute monster you could use. In early Yu-Gi-Oh, it was the tribute monster, only being outclassed by Janjo in late 2002, for that monster had a more useful effect despite it being 100 attack points weaker. Regardless, the power of Skull cannot be denied even if it didn't see any major deck inclusions. Part of this is due to the lack of major tournaments in the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh, but you can be sure if we had more prominent tourneys, then you'd see this card more. Combined with Change of Heart or Soul Exchange, it can act as a form of removal, plus it can punch over almost any problem you face. Consider that the closest low-level tribute monster is Judgment at 2200, it isn't even close at all. The next time we would get a playable vanilla monster at 5 to 6 tributes with 2500 attack would be Frostosaurus in February 2007, with the closest effect monster being Skull's Retrain and Skull Archfiend of Lightning in December 2003. A monster like this in early Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still wild to think about and became a staple for beatdown and soul control decks, and is one of the pillars when it comes to old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Number 8 is Thunder Dragon. As it is, TD doesn't do much. You discard it to add up to 2 copies of itself from deck to hand. But it does have its uses, such as discard fodder for any discard like Tribute to the Doomed, Raigeki Break, and Tribe Infecting Virus. It also acts as an easy to place engrave light target for chaos plays when those monsters come around. At worst, you can tribute over a monster to your benefit like Sandgain or a stolen monster. And this is only in regards to DM era Yu-Gi-Oh! For Thunder Dragon saw play when the Thunder Dragon archetype was booming between 2018 and 2020. This is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card that showed that cards can do more than at face value and can be fusioned for a certain Forbidden Memories card, because the impact of TD is more than worth remembering. Number 7 is Canon Soldier, pew pew. Now this is a scary card due to its tribute burn effect not being once per turn. Low stats mean it can be searched by any searcher or Mystic Tomato, and can be perfect for finishing up a game. Because of Canon Soldier, your opponent has to be worried about being in range against what you can do with this machine, since its effect can just melt life points away. You can tribute your monsters, revived monsters, stolen monsters, hell, Canon Soldier can even tribute itself while using priority. It's all applicable. For monsters in Metal Raiders that can instill the fear of God, I'd be hard pressed to name any others than Canon Soldier except for maybe Yugioh. Number 6 is Magician of Faith. Being on the premier flip monsters from MRD, this level 1 monster can salvage a spell card. Given all the powerful spells in the game, even by this point, this is a great effect. Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, Raigeki, etc. And that level 1 would be a great level when it comes to a Metamorphosis target for Thousand Eyes Restrict. As the spell card pool would increase, so would Faith, to the point where Faith was banned between March 2008 and October 2013. Mask of Darkness would be its trap counterpart, however, the reuse of spells was simply better in more situations for immediate play. For flip monsters, you have to have faith in this Magician being a great new addition in Metal Raiders. Starting top 5 with number 5, and that is a tie between Sandgain and Witch of the Black Forest. Both of these critters do a very similar function, and that's to search out a monster fitting specific criteria. Sandgain can get great utility cards like Gravekeeper Spy, DD Warrior Lady, or screw it, Millennium Shield, which has arguably better utility being able to search out any Monarchs, Berserk Gorilla, or Breaker the Magical Warrior. Both of these monsters are so generically good, both of them saw time on the ban list until receiving an unfortunate errata to make them less powerful. It's a fantastic engine to constantly go through your deck and pull what you need when you need it. They were as staples to the good stuff deck as the cardboard they were printed on. Number 4, we get to the back row of things with Solemn Judgment. While MRD introduced counter traps to the game with some decent cards like 7 Tools of the Bandit, one cannot ignore the power of Solemn. When a monster or monsters would be summoned or a spell trap is activated, by paying half of your life points you can negate and destroy the card. So the TLDR is this stops just about anything. It even stops a Janjo from hitting the field. It's no surprise why this card was banned for 4 years for its ultimate power in card negation. While there are some things it cannot stop like a monster effect, the blanket of opportunities to use this card is divine. Since it's only half of your life points, there's no limit to how many times you can activate this card either. In terms of what it can do, it truly is one of Yu-Gi-Oh's greatest negation cards. Staying with traps, number 3 is Mirror Force, by far the most "you activated my trap card" moment in the game. How could I not include it? This is the card your opponent doesn't want to see since it destroys all of their attack position monsters when one declares an attack. For a long time, duelists had to keep this staple in mind and play around it by not having all their monsters in attack position for an otherwise oppressive board. Despite the card being unlimited for a long time now thanks to other Mirror Force cards existing, calling this card a staple in the first few eras of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not an understatement. Staples come and go, and for roughly 10 years, MF was a consistent factor. Its OCG name is Holy Barrier Mirror Force, and that's because when you activate it, your opponent goes, "Holy shit." Number 2 is Heavy Storm. This is the dark hole of the back row. Destroy all spell and trap cards on the field is a powerful sentence. Released in this set, it really was the first reliable way to clear back row cards in a time before MST or Breaker. Even though you had to worry about your own side of the field, the amount of destruction this single card could cause was nothing short of powerful. Sure, some decks may not prefer it over later formats like ones with triple MSTs or Harpy's Feather Duster, however even those cards got regulated, which made Heavy all the more appealing to the main deck. One card with so much destructive potential in such a generically applicable way only means one should not take this card lightly in the slightest. A few honorable mentions: Mass Sorcerer, Tribute to the Doomed, and Jirai Gumo. Number 1 is Change of Heart. Banned from April 2005 to February 2022, this normal spell has the effect to take control of one enemy monster for a turn. It may not be as immediately useful as Heavy Storm, yet its functionality is much wider. The ability to steal one monster regardless of position lets you do a lot with it. Tribute it, gain an extra attack, or use a flip effect. Later eras would give more use to the extra deck summoning if used in a tactical way. Sure, it was banned for 17 years, and even still, one can imagine the power Change of Heart would have had it been around during, say, the 5Ds era. The fact that unlike any other card on this list, Heart doesn't need many requirements to use other than needing a monster to take, and thus the ceiling for combo potential to win rate is increased with this card on deck. Heart may lack the inherent explosive plays something like Heavy has or the control power of Solemn. There is a reason Konami was so hesitant to bring this card back after so many years. Plenty of other cards on here have seen a similar amount of power, and hell, Heavy Storm is a close second. It's the fact that Heart can just do so much more is the reason I had a Change of Heart myself and picked this for the number 1 best card from Metal Raiders.